What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. This video is all about Wolverine 3 and Bryan Singer confirming that Mr. Sinister will be the villain of that movie. Now, getting into this video, yes, Bryan Singer confirmed that Mr. Sinister is going to be the main villain of Wolverine 3, which is wrapping actually pretty soon. They've been shooting that movie for quite some time now. Now, this movie is, for a long time, people were considering that it is an Old Man Logan story. When pressed upon this, they kind of said that no, it's a loose adaptation of that. It combines several different stories. But if you look at what's been going on with Logan, what's been going on with X-Men in general, I think that, especially considering that they're going to make Mr. Sinister a part of this movie, I think that the big theme of immortality is going to play a major role in this. Now, Mr. Sinister has a healing factor, just like Wolverine. He can actually basically completely regenerate from even a single drop of blood. So just like Wolverine, this is a character that basically exists kind of almost outside of time. I mean, the Old Man Logan story is really, really sad. Logan had to watch a lot of people he cared about die. And over time, I mean, just think about it. If you were immortal and everybody around you that you love was dying, like how tragic and how like absolutely terrible that would be. So I think that what you're going to have happen is like much in the future, kind of way past a bunch of continuity, which may or may not be skipped over in the Singerverse. You're going to have this kind of ending, right? Patrick Stewart, he kind of said it's his last time as Professor X. Hugh Jackman is kind of claiming that this is his last time going to be playing this Wolverine role. And as you guys probably know, I mean, Hugh Jackman's been playing this role for 20 years. 20 years? 2 decades of him being Logan. And most of that's been him, you know, jacked up, shirt off, completely naked, totally jacked up. But he's kind of getting older. I highly doubt he wants to continue to be in that kind of shape, and he's kind of said as much. It's part of the difficulty with playing the Logan character is being as in crazy shape as he has been. But getting back to Mr. Sinister a little bit, one of the reasons, of course, there was the teaser scene at the end of X-Men Apocalypse, which shows the Essex company. One of those vials had X-23 on it. And this is interesting for a number of different reasons. I mean, Sinister, of course, has big ties to Cable. He literally is obsessed with Scott Summers' bloodline, okay? There's a lot of really, really badass people had happened in the bloodline of Cyclops. Cyclops himself, super, super badass. That energy, the blasts that come out of Cyclops' eyes, devastating to the body of Sinister. And this is even after an incredible upgrade given to him by Apocalypse. If you don't know this, Sinister is kind of like a lackey of Apocalypse, but Apocalypse is like so bored with time and with humanity in general that he takes like long extensive naps and just kind of like disappears for a long time. And Sinister does his own thing. Sinister creates Cable by taking blood from a clone of Jean Grey and combining that with the blood of Cyclops to make Nate. Nate is this thing that is supposed to, Nathaniel Summers is supposed to go eliminate Apocalypse. Basically, he wants to be rid of his master. That's like Sinister's thing. That's why he creates Cable. That shit don't go according to plan, as is usually the case of supervillains, you know, master schemes. And in some weird way of a paradox, Cable ends up kind of creating himself and helping to further the power of Apocalypse. But like, I don't want to get into that because, you know, like Bruce Willis said in Looper, I don't want to talk about time travel shit because then we'll just be sitting here talking about time travel shit all day. And it's kind of true, like the paradoxes and everything, really, really insane. But of course, Deadpool 2 is doing Cable as one of the main features, so it's gonna be, that's a really nice tie-in, right? Like, that's really, really cool. Hopefully we get to see Mr. Sinister in both of these movies and start to stretch over the continuity of the Singerverse. Now, let me talk about X-Men for just a little bit in the grand scope of things. I have heard that they are not doing another X-Men movie for a while. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you know I am a strong proponent of the theory that Marvel and Fox are in talks to bring their universes together. And I find it very interesting that you're going to go Sinister. It seems as though Sinister was something that was starting to pay off for the actual X-Men films. This might be a way to kind of do some of the things they were going to eventually do in the X-Men universe if this is their last go-around. If this is the closing of that continuity and you're going to kind of reboot it inside the MCU, which is kind of where my head's at right now with what's going on, then it makes sense for them to take Sinister, plug him in, take this Dark Phoenix stuff that they were going to do, maybe plug that in a little bit to this Old Man Logan hybrid story they're creating with Wolverine 3. It might be a nice send-off for the entire Singer Fox X-Men thing. This might be it, guys. Now, I don't know that. There are a lot of people who like to argue with me about this, but this is simply what I have heard. And, call it what you will, confirmation bias. When I hear the fact that they're going to bring Sinister in on this, and Sinister was a literal post-credit scene on X-Men Apocalypse, my head kind of starts to think that maybe they're trying to wrap stuff up. Maybe they're trying to do some of the things they were going to be doing in an X-Men universe, and kind of wrapping that into this nice little bow. There's also all this curious stuff. I mean, Deadpool's a huge property for them, so that's the one thing that's kind of confusing to me, is like if they bring Deadpool in to the MCU, like what does that do to continuity? Now you'll remember the SHIELD helicarrier is literally at the end of Deadpool, so he's kind of already crossed into that world, and he's the perfect character to do it because he could literally just make fun of it and nobody else would know what the hell is going on, but he'd be a nice nod to the audience. But that's kind of what I think's going on, guys. The big news though is that Sinister is going to be a villain in X-Men 3. This is really cool for a number of different reasons. Please let me know in the comment section, like, what do you think about this? Are you jacked up? Are you Hugh Jackman'd up? And I'd love to have a conversation about these sort of things. I don't know if I want to see Apocalypse at all in this movie, but Sinister's cool. I mean, I've always liked Sinister, even since I was a little kid rather. Even his design is dope, and I love just his whole thing. He's really creepy, almost vampire-ish, and just really cool, well-designed character. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Now let's check that nerd card. The question is going to be about Mr. Sinister, and the question is, what is the full name of the human or mutant that becomes Mr. Sinister? What is his name? Answer the question in the comment section below. Like the video if you thought it was super cool. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!